Welcome, welcome. So another Raw Talk with Divine Masculines. Really excited to have you come in. We're going to wait a little bit to make sure that... Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Water Bear.
Good evening.
On,
Good evening from the UK. It's 8 p.m. here.
nice. Nice to see you. So we're just going to wait for a minute to start. Let me see if you can. Let me see if I can share the live with it in any way. Bear with me. It doesn't look like it. Bear with me. Nope. I did. Oh yeah. Okay. Let me share. So hopefully people can jump on. I'm sharing it with you by mistake.
That's
Anyway,
all right. We're
so
going to try.
yeah. So I'm waiting for Baron to come on.
He says he's here, but I don't know how to.
I don't see
Can we
him.
add him? Let's just see if I click the add.
Yeah. Feel free to add, or I'll here.
I'm just trying to see if I can. He's not showing up on my list at the moment.
Oh, he's showing up on mine, but I don't see you. Okay. Accept. Okay. Perfect. So I accept it. What's going on? Okay.
No, we're learning.
Yeah, I know, but can we just go as guests if you don't mind? Because it's not working. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now we have to get Water Bear on this. So
Okay, yeah.
on this. So
Okay, yeah.
all right. Oh, it was because of the co-host thing. Yeah, it's not gonna work with the co-host thing. Water Bear, if you could just come in as a guest, that'd be great. It's not gonna work.
Oh man.
No, it doesn't matter. It just let's get to it.
Good.
So, okay, Water Bear, where are you? Can you have him send them the link again if you don't mind?
Yeah.
There. Water Bear, come on, let's go back. Now let's not do these like learning curve like that when we're scheduled. Let's not do that again. All right. Where the hell is he? All right, so you guys, we're gonna be waiting for Water Bear, but again, this is Raw Talk with the Sacred Divine Masculine. We're gonna be talking about Divine Feminines. We're gonna be talking about the toxicity of a socialized system of programming that is here to divide and conquer, aka the gender wars, splitting up into fragments of gender wars, LGBTQT, all kinds of fucking bullshit to keep you off your track. That is meant to fuck you up, okay? And let me see if I can add you as a guest. Okay, perfect. So they're going to really take it away. If you have any questions, masculines, feminines, feel free to ask us any questions you want, as long as they're a collective question, not a personal question. And if it's a personal question, please be aware that make it sure that's a good collective question. Water Bear, sorry about that. Apparently we can't do duet. We need to just do guests. So any, did you want to take it away? Like talk about what you want to like launch into? What is the premise of this talk today on a Sunday afternoon in upstate New York? And again, welcome to both my beautiful masculines. You are a testament to what is out there. And unfortunately, I'm going to just put my 2 cents in. The problem, what I'm seeing is that we have to stop with the gender wars. It's not going to work. Here, I'm going to simplify for you. The average person is an asshole, period. Gender unrelated. Gay, straight, bi, doesn't matter. The average person. So now it's not about gender wars, is it? It's about discernment to who is kind, who is real, who is loving. It doesn't matter if they wear a dress. It doesn't matter if they're into making love to a woman and a man. It doesn't matter. A good heart is a good heart. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter. So that puts it into, it's really simple at this point now. So take it away. Tell us what we're exploring today. Love you guys being here. Thank you again for the work you guys do.
Just one thing that I do want to touch on and explore on is masculine inadequacy, feeling inadequate. That's one thing I definitely want to touch up on. But
Okay.
what do you also want to touch up on, Water Bear?
Well, yeah, I wanted to highlight there's a lot of focus on being authentic and being true to yourself. But I think like the real underlying situation in all of this is people are fed up with the fakery.
Yes.
And, then people are going, well, if I'm authentic, then I'll be judged for it. And you see, the challenge is that people were faking it so that they wouldn't be judged. But what you're going to see, and I'm noticing it, is there's a complete flip. And now, if you're faking it, too many people are noticing. They're noticing it in political circles, they're noticing it in their social circles. The fakery, the manipulation, and the lies is really being so much, that is sticking out more
Yeah.
than the illusion of, well, I'm wearing the lovely clothes and I drive the nice car, and that must mean I'm a nice person. That must mean that there's something of substance to me. And actually, and I'm not saying it's bad to have those things. It isn't.
Yeah.
But if you expect people to judge you based on the car you drive and how you look, you're looking at it the wrong way into the in the 5D society that we want to live in. The authenticity is about having that trust in connection and being able to build those authentic connections with one another. And I think that is fundamental. So let's jump into what you were saying
Yeah. I used
about.
to. Yeah, one thing that I do want to say when it comes to being authentic is that I'm definitely noticing it. I've been seeing like a lot of celebrities, a lot of people who have been faking it, and just for clout, for clicks, basically. And
Mhm.
a lot of people are actually now like calling this person out. Even other celebrities and other people are making fun of this person. And I'm like, wow, I thought the whole premise of society, because society is screwed up and society is 3D, was that you are supposed to fake it. You are supposed to have the car, and then people just believe every single thing of it. So we're seeing that great elevation happening right now, and I'm like, wow. So you actually do need to be real in a society that's like 3D. It's kind of ironic.
What are the consequences? They used to be people would accept you, people would glaze over the fact that you're not being completely genuine, and they would kind of allow it. And if you look at all the political circles, the entertainment circles, Hollywood, etc., it's all about painting a picture, being an image.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, but it makes me sick to my stomach to be trying to build connections with people that cannot be honest with who they are and what they're going through. And only when I'm seeing people genuinely bringing up what is the energy that they're living in do I actually get to the real situation, the existence of that being, and how we can then raise our vibrations together, how we can heal the challenges. And maybe it's just how I'm made. I see through the veil, I see into the pain, and I understand what it is that's stopping people from being that genuine, authentic self. And so it's glaringly obvious when I watch people on in the media, what they're up to.
Yep.
And what are the consequences then of this situation flipping, where authenticity rules and fakery becomes so untrustworthy, so red flag and
Yeah, it's
bells
unattractive.
ringing. Hmm?
It's unattractive. It's
It's
literally
it's
like,
not only that, it's unsafe. And what happens is people will not want to build business relationships, collaborative relationships, or romantic relationships with people that cannot be themselves
no,
and,
no,
and show trustworthy characteristics.
no. No, literally, like, and that's the thing. Even my previous view, because I know we're masculines. It's just we've had some discussions surrounding dating, surrounding what's attractive, authenticity, and stuff. Like around women,
Yep.
I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked. I'm really shocked that I'm like seeing women starting to actually evolve and wake up out of the fakeness of sensationalism, and plus also what society and you could say the corporations put on us. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like what changed? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Seriously, that's what I'm like.
I've got some insight into that.
Yeah,
Let's dig into it. So when you have a trauma trigger that is so painful that you can't ignore it, and it keeps repeating, your brain, your body has such a situation of pain, of experience, that it starts to go, well, what was it? If you burn your hand, you're not going to put your hand on a fire and burn it again. You're going to learn from that mistake. And it's becoming that real. And so now people, women and men, are noticing that they can't play the games without consequence, because they don't exist in games without consequence, because they don't exist anymore. There's too much collective awareness of the trauma and the consequence of creating trauma in other people and then having to live with it yourself.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing to see the light bulb in people when they know that that there's a consequence to their actions. And like you were mentioning about basically male self-image, and how these consequences of being cheated and lied and steeled to and manipulated, they will knock a man's confidence, but also they will give you discernment, because you will now be looking for people that, if you notice that red flag, you won't entertain that. You will literally stop the communication because you notice it's not going anywhere. There's that person isn't safe to be around. But at the same time, you will notice green flags.
Well, I mean, can we I know we're talking about you guys as divine masculines, but to be fair, can we talk about the toxic masculine ways of them running full tilt boogie into toxic feminines, being victimized by these toxic feminines, the ones that basically want you, and who then feel victimized. Oh my God, I got hustled by a woman who just wants me for my money, and she wants to take me shopping for your bag. But I mean, and then men come back going, women are shit. It's like, wait, hang on, dude. You're going for the PUSSY, and then now you're pissed off because you got hurt. What did you? It's like,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me. It's like playing Russian roulette. Eventually, you're going to get hit, and that is upsetting to me, because you guys are not doing that, but there are a lot of men. The majority of men,
they are
going for the bimbos who want you only for your money, who only want you for what you can give them, and then you act like, oh my God, I'm so hurt. Women are shit. It's like, no, you're going for shit.
Yeah.
So you end up with shit. So how do you discuss that? How do you get men to wake the fuck up? Because when you have a section of men who are very excited about getting a robot that they can abuse and mishandle and selfishly sexualize. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm actually not making this shit up. How do you make this right? How do you tell men to grow up and wake up? Sorry, I need to ask that.
Wait, okay, so you've got the men that don't want to they're growing up, they're getting on the scene, figuring out that they want to start a family, be in a committed relationship, and we need to catch those and raise them up into the right vibration, the right intentions, the right actions, so they don't fall prey. And then, unfortunately, there's men that will not want to listen. They will not listen to this live or the recording later on, and they will have to go through some serious consequences. And then there's those that have gone through the consequences and now are like, help me. My life is in ruins. I want to have a life. I want to have a meaningful relationship, but I do not know where to start. And they're the people we can help as well.
Well, that's the thing, Mark. You can't save some people. You can't save some men. That's the thing. Some men need to go cathartically through it. That's the problem. I've tried. That's why I love my male circle. Mark, I'm gonna actually tell you this right now. I had more male friends than female friends 2 years ago. In just 2 years, that did a whole 180. Because it's like I tried to help a lot of these men, and a lot of these men wanted to stay asleep and stay behind. Literally, it's like you can't help a lot of men. Unfortunately, a lot of them are going to just go through what they're going to go through cathartically, and It's been lonely. I'm not gonna lie. It's lonely when you're yearning for a masculine or another masculine. But that's the problem. So many men today are just gonna have to go through it cathartically. That's unfortunately what I see for so many. Like, yeah, you're gonna see the evolution of everything else you are. You definitely are. But the problem is that so many of them just don't care. And it's not only that they just don't care, they do care, but they're willing to make a sacrifice, a sacrificial bet of, okay, I have a great night with this woman, I have a great night with that woman, okay, I have a great night with or fling with this woman, and it continues. And sometimes it can go into a loop as well. Seriously, I've seen this before. It's just, and it gets
A question for you, Baron.
you know,
Are they stuck in like a coping strategy of just seeking gratification?
yes, yes, they are always, like literally always, like just simping, lack of respect, self-respect for themselves. I mean, literally, I see this. I've seen this so many times with a lot of men, like especially men that are more younger. Like, yeah, they get older and stuff like that, but I started learning about self-respect when I was like 16. When it comes to
But
women, it's not going for a certain.
is it possible that a man has good intentions but doesn't know?
Well, that's the thing. He can have good intentions, but at the same time, he's not going to be able to discern those intentions because let's be real, he's going to be thinking with what's in between his legs. I'm sorry, Mark. You have to understand. We have testosterone levels that are raging like Formula One cars. Okay, like that's the unfortunate truth. And there's very few men like me and you that can actually control and have that discernment over who to actually pick in a great partner. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality that we live in right now. And it's just like I said, I do see an involvement happening with men, but unfortunately, I'm going to say this to you right now. Most of society, and this is why I'm an anti-hero. Most of society is not wise. Most of them are not wise. They will look at others and they will replicate the same mistakes or a similar mistake. That's the thing. Like when it comes to me, I've seen other people make mistakes, and I'm like, okay, they'll make that same mistake. That's what being wise is. That's wisdom.
Yeah, well, I'm going to just say that when you say good intention males don't know, we need to educate them. I'm sorry. That could have been true in the 1940s, even 3,000 years ago. But today, there's no excuse to be woefully ignorant. So
No.
men need to want to know that there are good people that are of all genders and that there are women that are here for their money. They want you to be an ATM machine. They want you to be successful. I mean, look, you've got Andrew Tate, and I'm not to, but Andrew Tate had 10 I'm going to say it like this: 10 bitches on the payroll, 10 baby mamas, 10 baby mamas.
Hmm.
Elon Musk is doing the same thing.
17.
So money doesn't take you out of the ghetto in the mind. And I'm sorry if that offends her. I'm not here to be political. I don't give a fuck.
No,
Because
no.
there are people and I said this in my last live with you guys, or maybe alone. And I said the people that should have children aren't having them. In other words, the star seeds, the incredible sweet levels of conscious masculines and women that are out there, feminines, are not having kids because you guys are afraid of what's to come. What's to come is we're getting overpopulated by idiots having children. Now, when you say, well, how do we get men who are good intentions to understand this? Read a fucking book. In fact, read, meditate, seek women that have brains. Ask them, why is this going on with the other sector of the feminine? And get a contrasting point of view so that you can actually heal your gender bias while you pursue these women sexually. That's what's happening here, and it's not getting better. It's
Yeah.
getting worse because think tanks are doing this by design to disempower us from being in sacred loving unions. It's by design, So, and I said that this is why Mary Magdalene and Yeshua were separated using the Bible as a vehicle for that, right? Separating them. And now that we have the Dead Sea Scrolls, we're like righting the wrongs. So we have a blueprint of how that fuckery happens. So when you say, well, there are good men that are well-intentioned, that, how do we get them? Well, what the fuck? Get off your ass and go do it yourself, my well-intentioned masculine or well-intentioned feminine. Get off your ass and do it yourself. I'm sorry if I sound frustrated because I am.
No, no,
Because
no, no, no.
it's ridiculous.
You don't at all. But that's the thing, especially for the bad intention, because there are some bad apples, of course, definitely a lot of bad apples. That's the thing. If they got, if you know, because you know, you've heard about the passport bros. They go overseas,
Yeah.
they get got, they get unalived, you know, deleted, basically. You know, like took it for everything to the bank, to the ATM, and beyond. And the thing is this: it's called natural selection. We're seeing it right now, literally within the dating world. The dating perspective is literally changing right before everybody's eyes right now. The bad people are the only ones that are actually dating. And that's the thing. Even with the bad people, like you said previously, having kids and this and that, the child birth rate amongst every single country on the face of the globe right now, including Islam ones, are going down. Literally. So that's what I'm saying. Like the good, well intentioned people have ran to retreat because of course they're afraid of you, all these bad apples and all these bad intentioned people. But what's happening is that what's happening within the dating world is we actually are seeing it in full view right now. Horrible people, horrible men, horrible women to basically pick from. And that's actually going to give amazing discernment to actually look for when it comes to characteristics or red flags to even avoid. That's what's amazing. That's actually what's happening right now. So when people are like in the doomerism stage of, because I've seen it on TikTok. I've seen men cry. I've seen women cry. I'll never find a woman. I'll never find a man. Blah blah blah. Yada yada. You know, it's like actually, like, sir, you're being protected. Like God's rejection and the universe's rejection is the spiritual protection that comes over, and that's what a lot of people will not give the patience or discernment for when it comes to putting their surrendering into the universe, even when it comes to love. Would you agree?
So I didn't realize you were going to jump a question in there. I do think that there is a lot of fear mongering that is putting people in a very wary state. It is easy to be in that place. But I must admit that one of the things that's been so important for me is to have my own discernment and like self-love action, which means to develop like awareness of patterns of behavior that are going to make me disempowered, that are going to make me less confident, less capable of speaking up. And I'm talking about like the feelings of loss from not getting the expectations met, you know, the dreams that you had from being a child of having a relationship, you know, having codependency tactic, you know, traits.
Oh my
These
God.
things are like so important to just kind of be aware of what that is and how that can be a disempowering trap. But you don't have to live in kind of a poor little old me, I'm a victim, I'm going to suffer. And there's like the well-intentioned people that do need to heal, that do need to have the awareness to heal from codependency issues or whatever it is that's stopping you from being optimistic, but also realistic about what it's like out there. And I think, Tony, you said it, you know, ask the questions, take the time to develop a relationship that is not based just purely on a physical relationship. That isn't what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to connect with the mind and heart first.
Exactly.
That physical relationship is the bow on the present. You know, the present is that you have this loving, trusting bond with somebody.
Right.
And we are pulled into our base chakras and see everything that we do, from eating food, from seeking gratification, whether it is drugs or alcohol, what it is, that's all a coping strategy that doesn't serve us, that doesn't allow us to raise into our best selves. Sorry, Baron?
I agree with you, but the thing is this, like I meant, like you have to have a balance, and I say this for you, I say this even for my mother, like you have to have a balanced view when it comes to the world, because it's just the people that are like, oh, help, please feel bad for me, feel pity for me, poo poo, you know, I'm sad and this and that, you know, the ones that are in that doomerism stage, that's the thing. It's profitable. That's the problem. You have a lot of people out here, these like spiritual gurus, masculine gurus, feminine gurus, telling women to get the bag and everything. Like it's just, and to be selfish and to like start exuding the same toxic traits that their previous partners or relationships of which ones they were in. And that's the thing. That's what's happened with society today. It's profitable. It's profitable to take someone's depression, someone's anxiety, someone's vulnerability, because it's your own. I mean, let's be real. These same gurus are also feeling the same thing, if not even worse. They just want to project it onto a bunch of people who are also depressed and sad and poor pity me, because it's profitable. And plus, it also gives them that dopamine rush of being listened to. That's the problem. It's basically main character syndrome, which is what a lot of these gurus and a lot of these people have. And that's what they've taken advantage of when it comes to both men and women. Like I see it with the masculine side saying women will never love you only for what you only provide. As soon as the tribe comes, she will go with the other tribe if you've been conquered, you know, like an ancient old time thing. And then on the women's side, it's like men will screw anything, including a chicken. It's like, you know, so it's just, that's what they've done. It's profitable.
Yeah.
They've latched onto that thing that's so sacred. And again, it goes to the root chakra, but it also goes to the third eye, which is extremely important. It's your intuition, it's your discernment, it's your control over your root chakra. Literally. It's
I do find it so interesting how easily people allow mainstream media narratives, news stories, etc., to program their mind. You know, like one thing that I remember was you must stand guard at the doors of your mind, because you don't know what the intentions are of the media, of the story, of the person that's trying to project fear onto you. And I'm not trying to be a fear-mongering person here, but it's fairly obvious that if they're projecting things that keep us in fear, that keep us in lack, that want us to be in our coping strategy, our toxic coping strategies, well, we have the power to step outside of that, don't we? We have the power to say, no, I'm not going to allow those stories to project fear onto me. I reject it. I am safe. I look outside my window. There are no people running around with guns and machetes. I'm safe. What the hell are we worried about? You know, we need to build our lives and our safety in our community. And whether that means you build your own community or you extend your life to have people that share views that you can be with. And that community is going to allow you to develop shared worldviews that make you feel safe. Because quite frankly, you get into a conversation and you know that they've been programmed by those news stories. The conversation's not going anywhere nice. You know? What does Rachel say? She says, is there any return once someone goes into the ick mindset with a lover? Well, I mean, you know, that sounds like from a female's perspective. So if Tony would like to answer that, she can, but I can say from a men's perspective.
Yeah, go ahead. You do it first, Mark, please.
So from a male's perspective, I think like the ick mindset really is you've noticed character traits that turn you off, things that you don't like about that person. If the intention of that person is that they genuinely want that person to heal from their traumatic patterns, to be better, when you believe that's a possibility and you remove your disbelief of that possibility, then it becomes, you kind of manifest that as back into your life. That person can then be healed of that challenge. But you have to allow free will. If they choose never to change, then you can't get trapped in your expectations. You've got to allow someone to do their healing on their own. But if you're asking how they do it, I'm going to say that they need to focus on the positive aspects of a person and not repeat in their mind they've done that, they're a cheater, or they've done this, or they're always talking about these things and I don't like that. Why not focus on the fact that they did that nice thing for you? Why not focus on the fact that they've got such a nice smile and nice eyes and they have good intentions and they do want to do good with and for people? You know, if you focus on the positive intentions, it's easier for you to get rid of that. If that's you, But if you're expecting them to change, then you've got to do it through manifestation, and that really comes down to how much do you believe it? How much can you keep that in your mind and allow that to be a possibility in the future?
Well, I have something to say on that. I think part of it, I agree with some parts of it, but I think you have to be more proactive in saying, as I said in one of my lives, I was like only 30 minutes, and I said that any human being that knows that they are owned by their root chakra, I'll give you an example. A woman is SA'd. We're going to use a woman or man. Actually, let's do both. Example. A woman is SA'd. We're going to use a woman or man. Actually, let's do both. They still relive that energy. In other words, it's affecting their sexuality, it's affecting their trust, it's affecting their sense of safety. And you can say, well, eventually they're going to, get rid of that. So they go into talk therapy, but it's still not working because they're not getting the right answer. So you don't give up. What you ask yourself is, this person took an hour of my life when I was 3 or 4 years old or 19 years old, and that shit's still playing in my mind. That is still like impacting the way I date, the way I am intimate with somebody I want to be intimate with, but I can't. I'm giving this as an example. And now the question is, are you going to curl up and give up in this incarnation, or are you going to get mad as fuck and go, you know what, motherfucker, you had me for 1 hour and you're never going to have the rest of me for the rest of my life. That's number one. Number two, deviant desires. Because porno has brought men and women, but mostly men, sadly, into the dark underbelly. And the farther you go, the farther you go into the clutches of some pretty nefarious, deviant shit. And it started with the 50 Shades of Grey for women as well. And it gave license to that kind of understanding that sex could be in that realm, which I'm going to call deviant. I'm sorry. If you ever read Marquis de Sade, you would know what I'm saying is correct. And it was 50 Shades is a very loosey-goosey aspect of the originator and the master of that realm, Marquis de Sade, sadism. And when men go into porn, they have to be discerning. They have to not be curious. Because once you're curious, you start wiring your brain. Now, the question is, can a man change? Can a man change, a partner change, whatever? The answer is yes. But I'm going to tell you the secret. Anger. You're not going to own my root chakra. Fuck off. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to rewire my brain no matter what. And the question I would ask a partner who is on the wrong side of the street on that aspect of deviant desires, behaviors, or whatever, is I would say, do you realize that they own you? You don't own that. You don't own your root chakra. Someone else owns it. In fact, there's a whole bunch of people that own you who don't even know you're alive, but they own you because you're owned by it. And that should piss you off enough to say, how do I rewire my brain? How do I completely rewire my brain? It's funny how when people have traumatic brain injuries, such as a stroke or an accident, they will do what many of them will do, whatever it takes to recapture their power to speak or walk or whatever. I mean, they are incensed. They'll do it. And many of them have. They've been told you'll never walk again. And boom, they're walking and running. They're doing marathons just to tell the doctor, yeah, fuck off. But people who are captured by their intimate ability or lack thereof of their root chakra are not as intense. And anger creates that. It's a righteous anger, not a toxic anger, righteous. I hope that's my point of view on that.
No, of course. I understand, like you said, that, yeah, you can fix it, but that's the thing. You can fix it at a certain point. Remember the video you sent me when it came to Terrence Howard on Valuetainment? That was insane. And that was with the whole Puff Diddy and everything. Like, that's...
But it was him saying, fuck you.
Yeah, no, it was him saying it, but that's the thing. Like, I was looking at Justin Bieber, I've looked at all these other people that worked with him, and that's what I'm saying. Like, some of them have escaped it, and some of them have went so far in that they can't stop. The same hour that you said of what is playing within their head could have been hours, could have been days. It's still playing. It's still going on.
But Justin Bieber was a child. We're talking about a grown-ass man sitting in front of the screen having discernment and choice. We're not talking about a little boy that was basically railroaded into a 48-hour, God knows, shabacle with that piece of shit. and he was never right again, and he was drunk to the fucking rafters until one day he was 18, 19 years old, realizing wow, he'd been used. So that's a whole different show. We're talking, but at some point, at that point, he is a grown man now, and we can see how he's been trying to recover on his own merit, using Jesus, born again Christianity, whatever the fuck he's doing, right? But he is walking out of it by his own. I don't care if he's on his hands and feet, on his hands and knees, excuse me, crawling out of this debacle.
He is.
But,
he is.
Right. But my point to you is that Terrence Howard, beautiful, and when he was young, he was fucking almost outer space gorgeous, right?
Oh yeah.
And so damn near, so a man like Diddy would have definitely wanted to diddle with him. But the point is that he had enough sexual power in himself. He's talking about manhood. Okay, fine, let's call it manhood. But let's talk about sexual power as a woman as well. Women are weak in that they always want to do shit to please the man, to keep him. Not because they want to do the 50 Shades of Grey shit, but because they want to be the only one that has him by the kahunas.
Oh, yeah.
So they offer threesomes. I mean, I'm having conversations with women as we speak on this. These are
Jesus Christ.
And they do it because they're afraid of losing the man. You know what? If you're not willing to lose something, like Terrence Howard lost contracts, lost probably
everything. He lost everything.
Yeah. Well, so you have to be willing to say, my power is more important than your fucking dirty golden carrot. I don't want it. If I'm going to lose you because I'm not going to entertain a threesome because that's not rocking my boat and it's not my true self, then bye. Here's your suitcase. I packed it for you. Enjoy. Call me when you get your sense back.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing. I don't have a problem with people having threesomes because I know people who enjoy it. In fact, that's their whole marriage is that. And it's fine. And they're happy. But it has to be, the desire has to be a mutual hunger for that experience or those kinds of experiences. But what I'm finding is it's always imbalanced. I mean, 9 times out of 10 is imbalanced. And so to go back to the original question that Rachel has, can they heal? Yes, they need to be pissed off enough to go, you know what? I don't own my penis anymore. I don't own my root chakra. That means I don't own me. Because when that's not owned and it's owned by porno industry, social media, advertising, and more, you're no longer an autonomous being. You are a slave now. You're a slave. And you're just a consuming slave. And if that doesn't make someone pissed off to heal themselves, then they're weak. I'm sorry, at that point you're weak-minded. That means going into hypnotherapy. That means going into
psychedelic therapy. Yeah.
All of it. That's what I did. I was like, I didn't have that problem. I had other problems. My problem was I didn't like who I was and my lifestyle and the way I lived and the way I felt. And so I went fucking all in. I mean, I was like, fuck this. I'm either going to survive this or not. I'm either going to grow out of this or I'm not. And it's that kind of confident attitude for one's own healing. You've got to be like, I am nothing stopping me. Not money, not the lack of it, not 3,000 miles or 7,000 miles. I'm going to go where I feel people can help me heal who have integrity. And again, that takes discernment. But it takes fierce passion. What are your thoughts, both of you?
So I got some interesting downloads from what you said, stuff I've been working on for a while. And that is the thing that has the most power over us is the prime ordeal, the strongest, most emotional intensity reaction at the earliest in our life is the one thing that shapes our character and our vision of who we are. And if you want to change, it is a matter of overwriting that. And in neurolinguistic programming, in hypnotherapy, what we're doing is we are identifying the emotion behind that action, behind that repetitive thought, that belief. And then with a new emotional intensity, with a new vision for your life, with a new belief and a passion and a love for who you will now be, you blast it through, you overwrite that negative view, that power that you've given away to your abuser, to the situation, the experience that is dominating who you are and how you act with your negative or toxic coping strategies. And once you then step into that new self, with love, and you practice it and you override it again and again with positive emotions in meditation, it actually doesn't take that long. But after sort of a 60-minute really good intense meditative rewriting experience, you will step out of the patterns and start believing and seeing a new way of being. And that is kind of what you're saying with the anger thing. I don't know what you reflect on that, Baron.
Well, I mean, somebody's saying one of the most important questions itself is, what is my earliest childhood memory? Fuck that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen too many people get locked into that.
You can get trapped in that. It's more about what dominates your mind when you have a problem to deal with.
Exactly.
That's your prime ordeal. It's so easily obvious because it's there. It's an emotional reaction. It's like a trigger. It's there all the time.
Right, and I love that wisdom, because at the end of the day, it isn't sometimes this incarnation, by the way, it's past ones that brought you to a frequency with fucked up parents, that because you were frequency matched to cruelty, and so suddenly now you got two narcissistic parents who are putting out their cigarettes on your skin, that kind of shit, and you're like, what? Well, I don't understand. I'm a good person. Why did I deserve that? Because you're on self-loathing for multiple incarnations. So it's not always the primal first memory of this incarnation's childhood. It's many. And that's what people need to get. And that's why hypnotherapy comes in. And sometimes you'll never get the answer, because it's not the answer. It's your patterns. And how do you change that? That's why I'm a massive fan of hypnotherapy. Because to me, that gets you closer to the truth than fucking 1 year of weekly talk therapy. And that could get me I could get a lot of flack for saying that. I agree that talk therapy has its place, but if you're really suffering, you're on the edge of saying, yeah, I'm going to annihilate myself. Sometimes you need both, actually. At that point, you need both support, and you need to create a tribe to protect you from yourself, from your monkey mind. Anyway, there's so many things. What are your thoughts on that?
I just know that once you understand what that overriding behavior that makes you who you are, if you know that you want to change, then it's an exploratory process. Just writing it, journaling it, writing it down, reflecting on how you've reacted badly in situations. What was your coping strategy? How did you fly off the handlebars at somebody? What was your emotional reaction? What was your outrage? If somebody's hurt you in a relationship, and you've said something or thought something and couldn't get that, tells you a lot about who you are and how you behave and your patterns. And then you can be conscious. Do I like that? Was I justified in is that who I'm going to continue to be, or would I like to be different? Exactly. Or could I be more resourceful? Could I be less controlled by my base instincts? Could I be more elevated in being more compassionate? Or actually, am I a pushover? Could I have stood up for myself and spoke up instead of being like placating and just letting people get their way with me? You have to know yourself.
And Jamie says, I don't agree in my experience. Listen to what you said, Jamie. In my experience, that's a key thing here, because when I mentioned all of the things that you can use to heal oneself, you locked into the earliest childhood memory. That's your truth. That isn't everyone's truth. And that's why hypnotherapy, sacred medicine, Akashic readings, meditations, silent retreats, okay? They don't always have to come from the earliest childhood memory. They don't. For you, it worked. And she says, it helped me find my power and rewire my programming. Again, my programming. We're talking about programming. And everyone's story is different. And their ability to heal their programming is going to take a different, nuanced perspective and approach. And that's why, honestly, when you go to a banquet of food, you try everything and you see what's your favorite. Similarly, that's what you do in your spiritual healing. You try everything and you see what sticks. Some people need somatic healing. Some people, it does nothing. And that's where we have to stop being arrogant in thinking that our way is the way for the collective. And it's not. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely love the fact that we exist in a world that offers us such variety. There are so many different experiences out there and there's going to be somebody that resonates with you more and somebody that's going to resonate with you less. And that is the beauty of this world, isn't it? We get to have contrasting experiences so that we know, I don't want that, but I do want that. And I don't know, like, once you start appreciating the beauty of that, nothing really feels like such a negative experience anymore. You're actually grateful for those things that didn't serve you or didn't go the way you wanted, because, you know, I think Baron said it good. You know, if you're rejected, it was because that wasn't for you. It was an experience, and now you're being moved on to something that is going to be more for you, or a better learning experience for you.
I mean,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, on the healing? Because I think healing is a very personal journey, and none of us have the perfect answer. It has to be tailored to every human being. What are your opinion on that?
Baron, do you have something to say? I've got lots to say, but I haven't heard from you.
Yeah. It's in regards to just variety. That's the thing. Like, in regards to variety, sometimes when it comes to variety, it's harder to discern. That's the thing. Like, if there's less of a variety, of course, it might be easier to discern because it's quite literal, basically.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with variety when it comes to society, especially when it comes to overabundance. Like, a lot of people have fallen into that area where people want to try everything, you know, when it comes to the root chakra or when it comes to sex. And it's like, that's the issue. When you start getting curious, when you start going into that area, I mean, you need to tread carefully. You need to have your discernment even more so when it comes to that. That's the only thing I want to give when it comes to the variety. That's it. But yeah, if you put your faith within the universe when it comes to the surrender experience,
Yeah.
you will be astounded by the things that the universe gives you to learn, and plus also gives you to also build on. Because I know that a lot of men love to build things. That's true.
I love that.
A lesson in faith, right, Baron?
Yep.
It's
It
like,
is. Yep.
like to tie these two things together. If you believe, if you have faith that you can heal, that you can transform who you are in your life, then it becomes possible.
Yeah.
But if you're in denial, like, I can't change, you know, I'm stuck in my patterns, or like there's no way I can ever give this habit or behavior up, you know, the universe is going to take you down some very dark experiences to make you realize you're going to have to change at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, tower moments. And I think that when there are blockages to certain things that you're trying to access that aren't good for you, the universe will make it difficult. Sometimes the universe will make it difficult. Sometimes it's just a test, and that's discernment comes in. But sometimes the universe will say, you really want to marry this woman, even though you just got the download that you shouldn't marry her and you should go, for example, right? And this person, like, I saw a video of an older man, you know, I think he's in his 50s, and he said, I was going down the aisle and something said, don't do this, don't marry her. He said, he called it a gut instinct. I call it a heart chakra, coherence. And he said, I went ahead with the wedding, and it was the worst thing I could have done. But, you know, you don't have to be at the threshold, say, of a wedding or a decision. The universe will give you actually red flags throughout the path. They don't just tell you at the last minute, oh, don't marry her while you've invited 100 guests. Okay, that's not true. The universe has been sending you red flags all along the way until finally the final moment to cross that threshold is flat. It's the final flat.
But that's the problem when it comes to, you know, the overconsumption, let's just say, of variety. That's the thing. A lot of people, unfortunately, your average male or average woman, they're not going to have that discernment. That's why there's so many single mothers, single fathers, troubled homes, troubled families. Like that's very much the problem. And of course, you know, a lot of these people are not spiritual and they don't trust their gut instinct. But that's the thing. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this live. It's to basically teach both men and women to have their spiritual discernment when it comes to the world. Plus, also, sometimes it's not even about being discerned. It's literally you actually letting go, and sometimes even going back because you know you took the wrong turn, and actually taking the right turn towards your path. So that's another thing that a lot of people will struggle and will really hold on to. They might need to go back a few ways to actually go the right way, you know?
You're supposed to, you know what? It's a very good analogy of the concept of people having a hard time double backing back, losing a half hour, losing say a year of their journey to go and reroute their direction instead of losing 20 years. You
Yep.
know, and yeah, you're gonna hurt people. You're gonna hurt yourself too, because if you're a good person, hurting people hurts you. So it's not something you're having a joy of. But sometimes you have to say goodbye. You have to. Yeah,
Hmm.
and so your download, the immediate download of this can't work, or this, like, he's a nice guy, or she's a really good girl, but God, I just can't, I can't. I don't know what it is. See, it's the, I don't know what it is, but they are so nice. And the sex is good, and they're so loving to me, and I love the way they love me. Red flag. I love the way they love me. Red
Yeah.
flag. Not. I love the way we love each other. I love the way we show up for each other. There's a balanced view here, right?
Well, I gotta interject. Actually, I love the way they love me. Basically, goes back into the codependency because of how they were when they were kids. It actually goes back into that because
Yeah.
there's something that's
And why is that, Baron? What is it that they're seeking?
well, what they're thinking. I mean, like here, and I'm gonna just say it for the 19 people who are watching this. And this was not me in a relationship. I would literally go into the room because the amount of bullying that I faced when I was a kid, kids would get up, kids would sit away from me and stuff like that. Girls would make fun of me. Oh, he's not developed. I was a late bloomer. So it's just, I remember I would go into my bedroom, and the reason why my clothes were on the floor was not because I wanted the room to be messy. I wanted my clothes on the floor. So that's how every single night I would put the blankets on, and I would put the clothes on top of the blankets. So that's how it was like a weight. It felt like that there was different scents and different people. So it felt like people were hugging me. And that was the only way I could literally sleep at night. And this went on for fucking years, literally, when I was on and off of different substances when I was an addict. It's literally, so it's just.
It's so interesting, isn't it? We have
Yeah.
these coping strategies to get through life, and we have these experiences of what love is, of needing that validation so that we can feel connected to another person. And what I've noticed through my own awakening is that the love that I have allows me to not to have to need validation from another. That codependency, like lacking something that I have to have from another, is really kind of like a wounded attachment perspective. And what I hope that we can all do is learn to see someone as a whole person, and then meet each other in the experience of, well, I'm loving my life. Are you loving your life? Right. Well, let's see if we can love each other while we also love our own lives. And maybe that just sounds a bit too grown up to some people, but I think this is where you step into a mature, healthy, loving connection, and the best of you and the best of them brings a beautiful relationship together. And I've been in a difficult marriage that I felt really shouldn't have happened because there was just too much childhood trauma that was unresolved, and it just not willing to get through the therapy and change.
Yeah.
And that's sad. And that's sad because really you just hurt each other when you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You're stuck in your patterns. You're blaming the other person. You're never growing. What do you think about that, Tony? Have you got some wisdom to share?
Well, I think that in some cases, I can say from my beautiful, beloved husband, he was a very good man, and he had trauma, and he was afraid of doing hypnotherapy. He was afraid of going into therapy, and really what it was is he was afraid of the Pandora's box that might have created such relived trauma that it would have actually given him a nervous breakdown and the inability to just survive, because his main concern was survival. So what happens when people don't want to face their trauma, sometimes it's just narcissism. They just live in their own little bubble, right? And they want their world to be the way they want. But in some cases, some people who don't want to face trauma, who have addiction, issues because they don't want to live their trauma. Obviously, you want to soften the edges. You don't want to be here 100% of the time. It's because in their mind, that monster in the closet or whatever is going to be far worse than just the denial of it. And the truth is they're wrong, but they don't know that. And they are, and some people don't have, and yes, it can cause a nervous breakdown. It can. And I'm not going to lie and say it won't. It can. And the fuckery of the 1% and the way the system has been created in our system, right? The capitalistic punishment of the average human being, right? That we're getting beatings from capitalism constantly. And you guys need to wake up to that. Is that when people need a break, like I have a client right now who went through a family leave act, unpaid, and the shit she's going through at her job for taking that time that she just needs to get healthy. And so some people actually don't have the resource. They don't have 50 grand in the bank account. They didn't that much less 3,000, right? They have nothing. And so for them to actually collapse into healing, which sometimes it takes time. You need 6 months of not working. I'm sorry, folks. And some people just don't have it and they can't. And so women and men are in marriages that could have healed had society and the infrastructure been in place to help people do the massive work that's needed to get to that place and recreate a new marriage based on new rules and engagement and new understandings. And kumbaya, here comes a marriage that's going to go into a lifelong marriage. And the reason why a lot of marriages are collapsing is because no one has the bandwidth, the time to do this kind of work. Let's be honest. And that's my opinion. What are yours?
Yeah, no, I agree, but at the same time, it just goes back into what I was saying in one of our previous conversations. I don't care anymore. I literally I've stopped caring about society, the laws, regs, everything. Like I've just stopped caring because it's like there's no integrity in a society that basically allows that to happen, that creates that environment for families to where families can't even be together. Like if there's an environment like that, why should I be loyal to a society? Why should I be loyal to an infrastructure that does that? Why shouldn't I rebel? Why shouldn't I not care about these like power structures or systems that put these rules and put these laws.
Like the FICO score, which is an American thing that many Europeans can't even relate to.
Yeah.
But the FICO score is a slave collar around your neck. And I'm going to say it that way because up until the time I got, and I know what I'm talking about because we bought a house last year. And the thing about it is, and then I stopped caring about FICO. I was like, fuck it, I'm late. I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, yeah, your FICO drop. I don't give a fuck. There are people paying off their car loan ahead of time and their FICO score are dropping 100 fucking points. So the only people who are benefiting from these systems of enslavement that are corrupting our ability to heal ourselves and to ascend. This is why when I say to you guys that the reason why this infrastructure is corrupted, it's in place to make sure we don't ascend. And ascend takes time to heal many, many things that have happened in this incarnation and past incarnation. And we need time and we need community. And at this point now, many of us are going to have to pull our resources together to create our communities, to be independent from this infrastructure to do the great work.
Yeah, no, of course, definitely. It's not only just that though, but also when it comes to like what we're allowed to put in our bodies. That's why I don't care anymore. Like I remember they did these things like the whole dare thing, and I just laughed at it. I completely laughed at it. I thought it was hilarious because it's like, what if the person literally has a normal, stable job, but they're literally working 80, 90 hours a week, because of money, because they're workaholics, because of childhood trauma of being insecure when it comes to money. I'm definitely, it's just, that's the thing. It's like, they don't even want to go over those things and these topics about, say no to drugs or say no to this or that. That's why I never cared about these rules or never these prerequisites that society, or you could even say the government, has set out. Because it's like, if you're not even doing these things to help people, what the hell, what the fuck business do you do in telling people what they should do and what they can and can't do over their own self? It makes no sense.
Baron, I wanted to talk about the benefits of having a healing group, but also what community really means and how building a conscious community will allow your life and generally the lives of the world to just completely transform. And can you imagine a movement where people can be in a group and safely heal their trauma, discuss their challenges, and get the support from their peers? Now imagine that extending into the situation where you are living in a group. You don't have to cook your meal every day. You can get childcare because the group are doing that. You can home educate if you have a problem where you lose your job or have an illness or have a need for grieving or have a baby. Imagine a conscious community where you get the support that you need. Now, obviously, it might be a pie in the sky, impossible vision for some, but I do absolutely believe and see this unfolding. For those that are ready, it's just a decision.
I agree with you. I agree with you that these groups should exist, but that's the thing. I'm 25 years of age, and as a young man who's ready, fit, ready to fight and everything, I believe that the groups should exist, but at the same time, I believe the government owes us. I believe the society and system owes us. There was a point in time where JFK said that ask what you can do for your country, not what your government or country can do for you. I think that's done a complete 180. I think they owe us. And they do. I'm sorry. Like the amount of people that I see on the streets, the amount of suffering that I see, it's this vengeful rebelliousness that I have within myself.
I accept that. But I think it's important to point out that when you victim blame yourself, you give away your power. Exactly. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't hold the government and the systems accountable. But in order to do that, we have to put ourselves in a position of power. And that means taking away the power that they have over us. Yeah. And today, that means being in a structure of life and community where you share those bills instead of having a set of bills each, which is divide and conquer strategy. I don't think what I'm saying is even that revolutionary. I can imagine many families all over the world saying, my cost of living has gone up. Yeah. And the solution is, imagine you can have 2 or 3 families living in a larger property, perhaps on a farm, or, so that you can have your chickens, you can have your vegetables growing, just so that you have some very high quality produce to supplement your normal groceries. But there's so much power that we can take back from things. Prosper says, write letters, petition, it equals First Amendment. And he's absolutely right. But I can tell you, as somebody that's middle-aged, has been around a number of decades, that you do those things, but you cannot rely on those things. Exactly. If you expect a piece of paper with some writing on it, a voting thing to actually transform us, well, I had one of my ancestors was a politician. I only found that out a couple of years ago. He was like a for the working man type politician. Mm-hmm. And, the point of it all is that we can all do our part to change society, but the power is in the personal actions that we can take.
I just wanted to, I'm sorry. I really need to jump. I agree with you on the sense of community, on the sense of taking power back. That's not radical at all. What I'm proposing, it's definitely radical. I'm saying, I'm basically changing power play for it to be a 180. That's completely understandable. But it's just, yes, when it comes to taking away power from that said indeed system, I completely agree with you. I do, definitely. Me and my mother, we were having a conversation on a walk about how 5 people could literally share the bills, 5 or 6 people. And when it comes to rent, when it comes to more, and it would even have to be a rent, actually. It could literally be an LLC and actually a mortgage that people pay. Yep. And it's like, okay, it's $3,000, but it's 5 people or 6 people.
So that's getting into the real nuts and bolts. I would really like to talk about the underlying cause of this before we finish. Agreed. And say that the every man or every person has the capability to have their own castle, and the kind of promoted keeping up with the Joneses, better car, better house, better clothes culture. That selfishness has become such a praised characteristic. And I can say at the beginning of our live, we were talking about authenticity and how genuine, trusting characteristics are becoming so much more important. And all of that selfish culture about wanting the big house and the best car and things, I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that illusion is just keeping you in kind of a debt slavery culture that you suffer in silence, believing that everyone is somehow better off, but they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree to that to an extent. I to an extent, because the reason why is when it comes to the United States, the amount of homeless people you could say right now that are out in the streets, there are more houses. There's a lot more. There is so much vacancy. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's an overabundance. We have abundance. The problem is that we have greed. We have people that just want more for themselves and basically nothing for anybody else. Crumbs, basically. It's gone too far. It's gone way, way, way too far. I mean, and that's why now you even
and I can, and Baron, right now, you've got people trying to figure out how can they keep the game going? How can they keep mortgages and debt culture going? Because if
they've done the divide and concert. I mean, look, Rachel says we now have a term, working homeless, in this country because of the economy. But let's go back to the beginnings. We have created a culture, and I said this in one of my last live in my discussion with Darren. We have created a culture that shames people living with grandma, grandpa. You're still living with your mom. You're still living with your dad. That kind of. Instead of realizing that they're pooling, instead of having 5 rents going to 5 different landlords, we get one mortgage, and we own 20 acres or 30 acres of land, and we can build whatever the fuck we want and do whatever the hell we want. And like an LLC under a living trust, do a nonprofit for Christ's sake. Everyone else is like, this is how the rich don't pay taxes. This is how the middle class pays the lion's share of taxes, and the very rich, to your $13,000 a year, the very multimillionaire are paying $4,000 a year. You tell me how that fucking makes sense. And so that's the reality. So we were, again, think tanks knew if we make sure that they're ashamed to keep their kids under their roof, unlike the Hindus do it. The Hindus do this, by the way.
Even the Europeans.
It's huge. It's huge. You do not know how many big families are living in the same house. Yeah, it's a slightly larger house, but the cost per person, because of that number of people living in a property, is so much lower.
Yeah, agreed. But it's also happening in Europe as well. I mean, even in Italy, even in Greece, even in France, like literally. I mean,
you're right about that. But what I'm saying, and the quality of life. So, because I have a client who's very wealthy, a very wealthy Hindustani man. They all live under the house.
Wait, seriously?
Mm-hmm.
No, they all live under the house, and they have a mansion. They have a mansion. I think it's a 6-bedroom, 6-bath house. They have land, and they have a very high quality of life, and they run businesses all together under the same family. My point is, that's how you fucking win. The Kennedys is now what the Kennedys did. Didn't they keep?
Yeah, that is what the Kennedys.
Thank you. But we all look at Camelot. It's so fabulous. Yeah, but yet. Think tanks came into the late 40s, early 50s to say, how do we make sure we fill up all these apartment buildings? Well, we're going to shame people from still living in families. That's how we're going to do it. And then we'll have 5 rents instead of 1 mortgage. And we need to rethink everything as individuals, and we need to share that wisdom of how to make your money stretch. Because when you have land, you can grow your food. You can go non-GMO heirloom seeds. You know what the fuck you're feeding your chickens and ducks. My point is, now you become powerful, and now they can't own you. And this is where we've lost the plot of how we got corralled like sheep into structures without ever knowing it. And now we know. So this is a time fraught with a lot of anxiety and a lot of possibilities at the same breath. It's extraordinary what we're realizing.
So I do think it's so important that we can get into discussion groups, healing groups for men and women that allow these sorts of conversations to go on, and people can get to unearth their trauma and get that healing, but also start to find solutions to their problems in life, whether they're homeless or just suffering from high living costs. There are things people can do. I know of communities in Florida where basically it's co-housing, right? So you get a room, you help with the community garden, you get help with once a week. It's your turn to cook in two people might cook a meal. And what a nice way to live. I
Yeah.
like that idea.
Well, okay. So I want you, all of you that have been on this live, please share. Please follow Water Bear Medicine and Darren Bacchus Market. Go ahead and share these guys. They have their own
Thank you,
content.
guys.
We meet once a week. Typically, we meet once a week to talk about Raw Talk. If you miss any of these lives, it's going to be on my YouTube channel. And I've got to send those videos also to Water Bear so you can also upload it on his YouTube channel. I've been a remiss, and I got to take care of that.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
And so I want to make sure that you guys realize that the movement of change is in the palm of your hands. You are not powerless unless you become apathetic and you feel like your voice and your trajectory of power is annihilated by your own self-loathing. Once you understand all of that, you'll be able to push through it. But if you think you don't matter, you fucking matter. Every single one of you who are listening to this, people who will never hear my voice, never hear Water or Baron's voice, you guys matter to the massive change we all so much desire. So, share these all so much desire. So, share these kinds of ideas with other people. Push your agenda. Don't think you need to buy property alone. I had to do it with my son, and he helped me. He couldn't help me to buy the house, but he helped me get the money here and there to make it happen. I mean, we bought it together, essentially.
Yeah.
It's my credit, but trust me, if we could have put him under, we would have. But it was faster to do. But try to work together. If I was smarter and if I hadn't been in a survival mode, I would have set up a nonprofit 2-3 years ago to buy it under a nonprofit. Hello, if I could redo it all again. So start getting creative about what you need to do. Does that make sense? Oh, you're welcome. Nikki Bella says,
Thank you so
I'd
much.
love to spend maybe in the next live we could spend a few minutes talking about some of the things that we're all doing at the moment. Like I'm actually making my own compost and doing a bit of permaculture, farming and stuff, and I think you guys are too. That's a really interesting topic to get into. Just there is so much power that you have if you just want to get involved. I think might do a discussion where other people can come on board. I might do that tomorrow or something, but so that in between our lives where we're not really taking guests,
absolutely,
we can have more of a community discussion, see what other people's views are.
we need to
really appreciate it. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Baron.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
I think we need to think about doing a Zoom. Love it.
Thank you so much.
I think we need to think about doing a Zoom call or Telegram call where we actually share and you guys would ask questions. How do I do it? I have my grandmother, I have my mother, I have we need to help you guys pool your financial resources to buy land together, to build individual houses together, and to make your life joyful and not stressful. Because all of you are paying different mortgages, different rents. It makes no sense.
It doesn't make it's completely it's completely not what we would have chosen to do. When I thought of my life when I was sitting in school, I imagined something so much different than what I'm experiencing, and that's because we are living what someone else intended for us to live.
Yeah.
Banks and property developers had this intention for us.
Well,
we've enriched the property developers and the banks with their mortgage interest.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I just had a hit and I have to share it. it was the gay male population that taught me. I just realized where I got this, because you get seeded unconsciously, right? So let me share with you guys and finish this up with that. When I was in my early 20s in San Francisco, because these men who love men had been thrown away like trash by their parents. Oh my God, Texas, Idaho, California, New York, you're not my son, how dare you, right? So these men had to create communities for themselves. They had to, and they would meet for like Sunday dinners, they would meet for Thanksgiving, they would meet for Christmas, and they were family. They might not have been blood family, but they were family. And so they were
Yeah.
able to not feel lonely in now being gay, coming out of the closet. And this was, and especially during the AIDS, when that was erupting, and people were afraid of even touching a person that had been diagnosed with that. But what I'm going to say to you is that now if we could take it, so I'm not saying go to your family if they're assholes, okay? If you don't have family, then that's what Mark, me, and Darren are talking about, community. They might not be your blood relatives, but they're your soul tribe member. They're your soul relatives. And discerning that truth is going to be part of your journey of building a real community that makes you feel safe, admired, cherished, loved, called on when you're fucking up in a beautiful way. That's what we're looking to do. So if you don't have a family that is of that level, fucking don't do it. Find your people. And from there, pool your resources and build your community, buy the land together, and so on. All right. I want to thank you both. You guys were phenomenal. I'm going to upload this on YouTube today at some point. Please share the YouTube. Please comment on the YouTube. On this particular live, I asked for the first time ever, I asked you to share the live while it was happening, because I thought this was a very important live. I'm glad you agree. And I want to send you all so much love. Thank you so much for all that you do. All right. Thank you.
Everybody.
Last words for both of you, and then I'll just shut off. Last words, both of you, and then I'll shut off.
Go, Baron.
Oh, no, I'm waiting from you first. I want to be the very.
So I just know that we have such a bright future if we choose to embrace the power that we have in our hands. And I just absolutely am so grateful to everybody that's joined us in our live, Baron and Tony of Sacred Intimacy Tarot. We have so much power, and we need to reclaim it and make the choices for ourselves. Don't let the choices and decisions be made for us. Don't put the power outside of you. You can have so much more quicker than you would otherwise think. I know there are many people that are ready to contribute towards community housing costs and making sure, that like I was thinking older people who would otherwise be chucked in an old person's care home and the government would force them to sell their houses. That doesn't have to happen.
No,
They can have younger people, families building communities, looking after one another's, multi-generational people. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Yeah, even though it may seem hard right now, we basically have to go inwards within ourselves, which can actually be misty, it can be foggy, it can seem disorientating at times. But that's basically where the real work starts to happen. And that's when the sun comes out and clears up the fog. And that's where clarity comes within our mission.
Namaste.